Good evening, friends. Thank you very much for being here this evening. As Hoshank really told you that it was something which we just thought of 50 days ago. So it's great fun to see that, you normally take even 9 months to have a baby, but this institution took 50 days. So I think the time has come where the Prime Minister says, "Sab jaldi karo," and we complete everything quite quickly and start things newly quickly. But actually, the fact is that I've been, besides being in real estate, a large part in education too. I participate in the management of 17 colleges, 8 schools, 2 hospitals and 3 temples. But barring that, to understand that in the education system, we have a large amount what we call formal education. The formal education starts from KG class and ends with the PhD degrees that are given in various institutions to do. Over a period of time, what we have discovered is the fact that formal education has a great role to play, both in terms of schools, both in terms of colleges, and all these institutions are here to stay, not only in India, but all over the world. And they definitely have a great role to play. This kind of role play which formal education had was wonderful all these years because we needed to have a base which was very strong. We needed the schools to be strong, we needed the college to be great, and to such an extent that when our students go overseas, whether they are doctors, whether they are engineers, whether they are IT professionals, whether they are software professionals, they are certainly extraordinary in terms of the mind and also the background of education. So we were doing lots of things right. And there's no doubt about it that the premier institutions, including the IIT, the IIMs, the engineering colleges in terms of what it was teaching was on the right path. And there is no criticism relating to that because we even today produce best in many of these institutions, whether medical colleges, whether engineering, whether the other technical courses that we do many of them extraordinarily well. However, when we, over a period of time, we studied all these things and factors, we found something going wrong. And what was it that really went wrong? We found that many times when we advertised for the post of a peon, even in our colleges, we got graduates who were BA, BCom, BSc, and in some case, MCom and MSc. Students who had passed this degree wanted to become peons of our colleges because that's the kind of frame of mind that people got oriented to. And they didn't mind being a peon, but they would find it extremely difficult to become a plumber or an electrician or to be able to do that kind of change that really took place. So this was one of the paradigms which we found lacking. Over a period of time, we also built lots of good colleges like our engineering colleges. We did our MBA and other institutions. But a lacuna is now being found where we found that the students graduating from these colleges are actually not fit for the workplace. I'll give you a small story of what happened to me 20 years ago. At that time, I used to conduct interviews of most of the people who joined my company. I don't do it, unfortunately, anymore. I would still love to do it, but I don't get that opportunity. So I was at one of the sites. In fact, I think it was the building behind Eden. I don't remember the building, but I was there. And this boy was brought over there who happened to be a silver medalist from a leading civil engineering college. And he was being taken by us into the company to be inducted in our company to take a job. And I was standing over there as far as that is concerned, and they said, he's a gold medalist. Sir, he's come from the interview. When will you come to the office so you can conduct the interview? So I said, let me talk to him right here. I bent down, I picked up some material in my hand, I stretched my hand out to give something in his hand, and since he found that I had picked it up from the ground and I was giving it in his hand, his first reaction was to pull his hand back because his hand was getting dirty. He didn't want to touch the material which I had picked up with my hand to give it in my hand. So I said, don't worry, this is not dirty. This is sand which we need to make concrete. Can you tell me whether this is good sand to use for concrete or not? This is a physical test where any person who understands concrete mixing on the sides knows whether the sand is clayey or not clayey. And if that is the first physical test of what you do in order to recognize the quality of sand. No engineering college in India teaches that. Nobody, and that time there was no ready-mix concrete plants that we have today. So we had to go through these forces. So many times we found, and still find, that education in the form in which it is actually doesn't roll out adequacy in terms of completeness of education in many of our colleges, many of our schools, etc., which actually means that when they come into our companies, they are really learning from the ground level upwards, when in fact they should be supervisory, positioned, educated, knowledgeable, and other things. So we found this one gap which took place. There was a second gap which we have recognized. And the second gap that we recognize is the fact that they are jobless. They don't get jobs. They've passed engineering from the best colleges, our colleges, and they struggle to get a job unless they're going for an MBA or other degree, but they actually want to go for a job immediately after that. They don't get jobs. And this was shocking because the results were good. They were knowledgeable and educated on the whole thing, but the linkage between what the requirement was there of industry and what was actually being produced was not something which is there. So an end-to-end gap was created. The third position that we really found was the fact that over a period of time, people found themselves denigrated because they had jobs which needed to use your hands. This has been the shocking plight of India, wherein they don't mind anything else, use their brains and other things, use their other skills, motor skills and others, but when it came to use your hands, people in the education system that we have created denigrated that position. So, when we look upon people with skill sets, like a mason, like a plumber, like an electrician, like any of these other factors are concerned, you actually look down upon them. And so, the two classes got segregated. And we stopped education in the second part. There are no courses for plumbers. There are no courses for electricians. There are no courses for wiremen. There are no courses for shuttering contractors. There are no courses for all these aspects of it in a structured form of way where we are going to take millions of people in the next couple of years, because the extent of environment that we are creating in infrastructure, in construction, in various other fields of activity. The Prime Minister is now building with Mr. Gadkari 25 kilometers of national highways per day. That's the situation of growth that we are talking about. But ask me, ask those contractors, where are we going to get the people to do it? You want a senior engineer for that project? I can line up 500 who want the job. Give me plumbers, electricians, contractors, people, masons to do this job. Zero. You have to actually search for people like that, and you don't have a qualification certificate to say, he is a good plumber, he is a good mason, he is a good shuttering contractor, he is such and such, which is over there. And surprising, these are the very skills which in the Middle East pay well. The third, the person who is now my carpenter and shuttering person who works on the side gets a higher salary than my engineer who is graduating. So both from a salary perspective, we find that difference. So what has really gone wrong? Nothing has gone wrong, but there is a gap. The thing of education in the normal sense of the term is right and perfectly right. We need to tweak it. We need to improve it. We need to connect it with actually the skill sets that are actually required by industry and other people. All that needs to be done. Yes, there is that gap. But there is a new skill set which has come. Today, for instance, in Mumbai, you have Bollywood, a skill set which is fantastically in growth. The growth in Bollywood has been huge. TV, Bollywood, media. The number of skill sets required over there and the number of people to be employed in such skill sets are in lakhs. Lakhs of people are required. But we have no educational institution to teach photography, cinematography, skills of different kinds where a gap has been created. So something is missing there, which is not the responsibility of the formal system of education. So we are not here to fault that system. We are happy and we embrace that system. Yes, we have to do corrections in it. We have to do improvements in it. We have to provide the connectivity to make it employment. All these things are necessary. A couple of years ago, the Hyderabad Sindh National Collegiate Board, of which I was the president and now a trustee, had set up a situation where we said, let's do a kind of CSR activity in terms of skill sets. So in Ulhasnagar, we started these courses of thing. At that time, this is about 3 years ago, there were about 200 people that we used to skill every year. So these were the poorest of poor, skill sets which went, the most popular of them being beautician for people even living in jhopatpattis and slums, to all the other activities that we took up, multiple activities that we did. But we said those are the CSR activities that we do, and we decided that we will improve that segment. Over a period of 3 years, we doubled it in the first year, from 300 in 3 years earlier. The earlier year, we did 700 of them. Then we said, from 700, we will at least do 3 times the number. This year, we clocked 2008 that we did skill sets with. And I'll share with you some interesting thing which happened to me in this particular thing, and I enjoyed this experience. So I'm going to share it with you. One of the things we thought was that old people at home need to be cared for. Not everybody can afford nurses to look after that. So we said, let's train men and women for the purpose of being nursing aides. I call them ayabais. And I said, let's train them with a 3-month course to teach them to do blood pressure, take temperature, write down the medicine, see how their parents are to be bathed, how to wash your hands, what is it that you need to do in order to make them adequate to be ayabais to look after old people. And lo and behold, after 3 months, these ladies, we had 37 of them last March. They wore blue things like the doctors wear the white coats. These were blue coats that we gave them. And their ages were anything from 22, 23 to 50, 52. And I met all 37 who were graduated in this 3-month course. And I asked them 3 questions. What was your salary before you got this training of 3 months? What is your salary now? And where are you working? So somebody was earning 3,000, now earning 6, 4,000 earning 7, 5,000 earning 12, 6,000 earning 9. All in 3 months, this magic had taken place. But the second question was a little disappointing. I said, where are you working now? So the answer was very simple. I'm working with a doctor at his clinic, I'm working in a nursing home, and I'm working in a hospital. So what happened is, though the salary scale went up, which was our objective to see how we can upgrade the skills of these people and take them on, totally as a pure CSR activity, we suddenly found that here was a deficiency of an area which was not only for old people at home. It was really something where even the hospitals and everything was done. And we have got calls after calls to our activity center saying, can you send more of your IABIs to us? We need it for our hospital, we need it for our school, we need it for our dispensary and clinic, and we need to look after that. So what is it, the incongruity between the two? The fact that at one place, unemployment is there. I remember maybe about 8-10 years ago, we needed 500 workers in a particular site for a particular activity at the labor site. We had 2,000 people wanting to take the jobs of 500. Today, when I want 1,000 workers, I don't get 200. And the skill set numbers percentage is even lower. So if I want a mason, if I want suthar, a carpenter, shuttering contractor, so on and so forth, person who lays tiles and this thing, you don't get them. It's so difficult to get, and they're fairly well paid because of the whole thing. The shuttering contractors who actually put up the building, we can't get them also. So we have completely automated a lot of shuttering. We have got new systems of shuttering. We bring cranes to the sites to use most labor, less labor. So in a country where it's supposed to be surpluses of labor, I don't get labor. Not because you can't get labor, because the skill sets is missing. So what in reality has happened is that we found over a period of time that while you can get qualified people in law, qualified people in engineering, qualified people in various subjects of whatever it is, the skill set segment was totally missing. And we started that course. That was one part of the CSR activity. Then we found that the bigger element is actually more deficit. So, good speaking in English or any other communication, all the other skill sets that you need, and I'm going to leave it to Manju Nichani to speak to you about the segment and that area of it is concerned. That part of the whole thing, we think, is going to be hugely deficit in the next couple of years. We think that the Hiranandani Institute of Learning, which is nomenclature, and I have to thank all of you for coming over here and joining this start today, is the fact that we think that the growth in this segment is going to be huge. Of course, the Prime Minister has understood it. He's talking about skill sets all the time, because that's where the jobs are needed. That's where the growth segment is going to take place. And we need to fill that gap. Hence, what we are trying to do in this Institute of Learning is to identify the segments of it, plug it into a segment where the demand exists. So we will have flexibility in saying what works for the marketplace. If it doesn't work for the marketplace, we will not conduct any of those courses, irrespective of what you may earn out of it. So the earning is important for all institutions, yes, except where the CSR activity is done, where it doesn't matter, which we continue to do. But here, that segment is different. And we think that if we grow this segment, it will grow much faster because the number of people needing this skill set is huge and nobody is doing it. That's the shocking part of it. So while myself run 17 institutions, 45,000 students in colleges, 8 schools that we run, 17,000 students in all the schools put together, we have nothing in the skill set arena except the 2,000 that we have done in the last 1 year. So, huge gap that we have identified. We think it's going to be fun. We've selected a place in Powai, in Knowledge Park, which is 30,000 square feet in 2 levels. It's fully done up, very, very beautifully done. We think there's a huge opportunity for the purposes of teaching and learning in this segment. I'm so grateful to all of you. Many of the principals have come from all far and wide, from downtown city, Bandra, Ulhasnagar, and places like that. Thank you very much for joining us, as far as people from the complex and other people. Thank you, Planet Powai, for being over here. Thank you, all of you, and being joined on this momentous occasion. I've always felt that the new subjects that really we bring, rather than just the next building that I create, gives me a lot of thrill. I'm pretty excited to see this new subject that we have taken up. I must tell you something about Manju Nichani. Manju Nichani and I have been associated in the last, how many years? 15 years in KC College, which she was the principal, secretary, and other things as far as the board was concerned. And we really got along extremely well in terms of growth of the institution. She turned a college which was not so great into one of the best institutions in Mumbai and in this country, where people, students were very happy to join it, and she produced extraordinary results in the leadership that he did. She was a great guide and mentor to me on the HSNC board, and she did that fabulously well. So when she finished with that activity, and she was trying to slip out to a place called Pune, where my mentor, Dada J.P. Vaswani, is there, and she slipped out over there. I've given her a little lollipop that you should also do something over here for us, and I'm very grateful that she agreed to set it up as far as this is concerned. So there is quite a tussle to hold her here, and especially when it's my mentor on the other side, so it's very, very difficult. But however, I'm sure and very confident that she will be able to turn anything around, and especially in the course of education. We have great confidence in her. Thank you, Manju, for joining us as far as this institution is concerned. And what Hoshang just said, that we put it up in 50 days, is not because I did it in 50 days, she did it in 50 days. So congratulations, Manju, for doing that part of it. Thank you, all of you, for coming over here. We hope that this institution, with your good wishes and blessings of all of you, will actually grow into something which is extraordinary. Yes, the Prime Minister has been telling us to do it. I'm not seeing many people really take it up in the spirit in which he has put it. We hope that this Institute of Learning will take up that spirit in the right order. We want to start small, but we don't plan to be there. But size is not important for us. What we really want to do is, can we create a paradigm of learning which will actually teach us this difference, and be able to see that the skill sets that we do, as far as that is concerned, is really useful to the people who are learning, which is useful to this city and country, and brings a quality of life to the people who actually imbibe it. Many times the skill sets are not really understood. So that's why a large number of people go through their whole working life, but because they have not picked up these skill sets, they are deficit. And that deficit is what India becomes a second-rate country in so many of the arenas that we do. The construction quality in India, I'm talking about not our group, but in general, is deficit, because you don't have the skill sets to that extent. And of course, there are other things also, but I'm saying you are deficit with that skill set to do. So I need your good wishes. I need your cooperation. I need all the collective spirit, as beloved Dadaji says, is the spirit feeling, that bohemi that you put across to us, that makes this paradigm happen. Thank you very much. Happy to be that all of you have come here today. Thank you.